I'm going to show you the best way to write your Rightmove property listing descriptions using AI in 3 steps. Now, I'm not saying that you have to do this, but I know that a great many estate agents are turning to AI to write their listing descriptions in an effort to save time and be more efficient. And the risk incurred is that you will slide into the generic, you'll sound and look the same as every other estate agent. Well, here's how to avoid doing that using Claude, specifically Claude Skills. So this is 3 steps. The first step is actually not involving AI at all. I want you to go back through all of your existing listings, your Rightmove listings, and copy and paste a good quantity of the written summaries into a Microsoft Word file. And let me show you, I've done this. Now, for an example, I've gone and found a prime estate agency on Rightmove because I know that especially agencies at the premium end of the market put a lot of effort and stylistic quality control into their descriptions. So I want to try and emulate one of the high-end written descriptions here. So I've copied and pasted 5 written descriptions here into a Microsoft Word file, literally copy and paste, including the bullet points and the full written description. So I've now got a file of 5. You can do more, you can go 10, you can go 15. One of the brilliant things about Claude is it has a massive context window. Now what that means is it has an ability to process large amounts of data and information. So go crazy. If you want to include 20 examples of your descriptions, it's just giving it more evidence to base its creations upon. So I've now got this file of 5 descriptions, and what I'm going to now do with this is I'm going to put that file into Claude along with a prompt asking it to turn this into a tone guide. So I'm going to ask it to analyze these examples that I'm giving it of my own written content. These aren't my own, I've nicked them. And I'm going to attach the document. So I'm going to attach the samples. There we go. And when I submit this prompt, it's now going to analyze all of that and write a really in-depth, detailed guide of exactly how I structure my descriptions, what language I use, what style, what tone, and what content is included in there. Now, to save us the time of doing that in real time, I've already done it. And here we go. Here is my tone of voice guide. And as you can see, it's a really detailed document that analyzes all of those examples and gives a really in-depth do's, don'ts. Here's what you should sound like, here's what you should include in your description, here's how it should be structured, here's the typical content, a really detailed document about how I write my property descriptions. Obviously now I should review that myself. I should make sure I'm happy with it, I should make sure nothing's been missed. Do I want to tweak anything? Do I want to change it? Review this and revise it until you're happy that it's a really detailed and accurate document summarizing exactly what your descriptions look and sound like. So that's step 1 and step 2. Examples into a Word file, turn those examples into a tone guide using Claude. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to Claude and we're going to create a Claude skill. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the Claude skills, this is one of the great, brilliant features that you get in Claude that you don't get in other LLMs like ChatGPT. What skills are is the ability for us to train Claude along the lines of, right, every time you write a Rightmove description for me, this is how you should do it. And that training will be embedded into its DNA. So every time we say, write a description, it knows exactly how to do it. Now you might be familiar with projects if you use them in ChatGPT, and you also get projects in Claude as well. The big difference between this is projects is a very effective way of storing information and also filing your chats. However, skills is actually programming the DNA of the platform and telling it how you want it to behave when it performs a certain task. So skills is the right way to go for descriptions. So what we're going to do is go to Claude and we're going to put in this prompt, all of the prompts. Drop me a message if you want them. Let's create a skill together using your skill creator skill. This skill is to be used when writing Rightmove property descriptions. It's important that these are written in a style that precisely reflects the current style of our property descriptions. I'm uploading 2 documents to help you with this. A file containing several examples of my Rightmove property descriptions, and a tone of voice guide summarising the written style, structure, tone, language and content of these descriptions. Well, we've just created both of those documents. When using this skill, the user should be prompted to provide specific information about the property in question, including but not limited to property images, floor plans and information about the property that is needed to write the description correctly. You should not write the description until you have all of the information you require. So I'm going to submit this prompt now, along with those 2 documents, my example prompts and my tone of voice guide. Let's drop those in. And when I submit this prompt, Claude is going to take me through a guided process of refining and finalising these skills. Let's go through it in real time. I haven't done this ahead of time, so we're going to go through it live. And hey, if it goes wrong, you'll be able to see what happens when it goes wrong. But I don't think it will. As you can see, it now says that it's reading the instructions that I've uploaded. So that's the 2 documents, the tone of voice guide and the examples of my descriptions. And what it's going to do once it's done that, and Claude does take a bit of time to think, is it's going to come back to me with some questions and options to help refine exactly how I want this skill to behave. So let's let it do that. So we've jumped forward by a few minutes because it does take Claude a little while to think these things through, but it's now finished the process. And usually when you build a skill in Claude, it does have a bit of a back and forth with you. It refines the instruction, asks you questions, asks for information, but in this instance, I think our prompt was so thorough, and those 2 documents we gave it were so detailed that it's had no need to do that, and it's just gone straight ahead and built out the skill. And it's given me a summary of it here. It says how the skill works in 2 phases. Phase 1, information gathering. When triggered, Claude presents a structured request for everything it needs before writing a single word. Includes images, floor plans, address, type, period, room by room details, outside spaces. Phase 2, writing. Once it has everything, it writes the description following the exact structure from your 5 examples. Key features, summary line, full description, outside and gardens, location, square footage. And it's given me 2 options. It says, now, do you want to install this skill? Or do you want to go ahead and test it? And I suggest what you do at this point is that you do some testing, because you can still refine it and ask it to make changes to the skill that it's created if you want to. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to drop in some images. Let's say, let's go ahead and test it. And I'm going to put in some images that I have. Here we go. I've got some images and a floor plan of a flat in my local city of Bath. Here are some images and floor plans to get started. And let's see how it copes with this. So it's started by analysing the floor plans and the photos. It's told me what it already knows, and it's asking me now for some additional information. So here we go, is the property listed? Well, yes, grade 1 listed. What is the tenure? I'll click on leasehold. Is there any outside space, parking, communal gardens? I'm going to say, actually none of those quite fit the bill, so I'm going to type at the bottom, permit parking on street, permit must be purchased from the council. And now it's given me a bit of a list to provide additional information, and it feels that once it's got all this information, it will then be ready to go ahead and write the description. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that in. We'll skip forward a moment. Okay, so as you can see now, I drafted pretty short replies to those. Obviously, as with anything with AI, the more detail you give it, the better the results will be. But for the purposes of this demonstration, I've given pretty punchy short responses. Let's submit that and see how it gets on. I think what it will do now is just process that information and then start to write our description. Okay, and here we go with the finished article. As you can see, it begins with the key features, and it goes on to write the description, which is formatted and structured and styled exactly like my example descriptions that we gave at the beginning of the whole process. It goes through the in-depth description of the property itself, extracting key details and selling points from the information that I've given and the photos that I provided, and it ends with that location section, just like it did again in the examples that we went through at the beginning. So this for me, and at the end they've also got the square footage, which is how every single one of those descriptions ended. If you don't like that style, if you don't like that format, then don't worry, because your version will be based on your own property descriptions. This for me is stylistically very similar to the examples that we got at the start of this process. And what I can now do, now that I'm happy with that, is I can scroll back up to where the skill was. Here we go. This is the actual skill file itself. If I click on it, I can actually read the contents of the skill. It actually shows you what it is baking into its own settings. If I'm happy with this now, I can install it. If I'm not happy, I can continue the chat and carry on refining the instructions. But all I have to do now is click that copy to your skills button. Let's go ahead and do that. And that's going to actually install the file. So now anytime I start a chat within Claude, I can say, write a Rightmove listing description using your skill for this and continue the chat from there. So if you are going to use AI to write your listing descriptions, please do it in this way. Use Claude and create a skill that has been customized to your specific brand, your style, the structure that you use. Don't compromise for the sake of AI efficiency. Don't make your descriptions look the same as everybody else's. Go through this installation, customization process, and you can use AI to save time without compromising on the personality, the tone of voice, and your brand. I've written a full guide detailing exactly how to go through the process that I've shown you on the screen today, as well as all of the prompts that I used in full. If you'd like that so that you can set up your own Claude skill for your Rightmove descriptions, then comment descriptions or drop me a message.